Hi everyone, I can see that a few of you guys have already joined in, and so has our guest for today. So let's begin the session, okay? I'm going to formally introduce you, Sona, but let me just actually say a huge welcome and a huge hi to every single one who's here, especially you. So hi everyone, welcome to today's session. You can see my excitement and you can see my energy for today because the guest that we have is so incredibly special. The guest that we have today, I am going to walk away with so much learning. So I'm just going to be here taking some notes. So please don't mind me, everyone. So welcome to today's session. This is going to be an admitted student special. And today we have with us Sona. So I got a pleasure of talking to her before, we started this session. And she not only is a lovely person, she's an incredibly nice person, but her profile and her admits would actually shock you. So she has gotten admits from some of the best universities in US, including USC and Carnegie Mellon University, which I know is a dream for many people. And her finalized university is an Ivy League called Cornell. So welcome to the session, Sona. How are you feeling and how are you today?
Thank you so much. I feel so happy. And thank you so much for the introduction.
Okay, I think there's some problem. We can't hear you properly.
Am I audible right now or should I?
Much better, much better. Awesome. So you can see my excitement. I'm so excited to have you here. So first of all, let me congratulate you on your amazing, amazing journey and amazing admit. I know Cornell is a very tough nut to crack. It's one of the best universities in US. So how does that feel? What is this feeling like?
Actually, yeah, I feel so happy and it's a huge process. Like it's been almost a year we're working just for the university. And when you get to know the results, it feels so like we feel like our hard work is being paid off.
100%, 100%. So let me tell you, the audience that we have today is already very active. I have been seeing a pile of questions already in my chat box. So the first question that I've gotten from a lot of people here is actually, can you tell us your profile and how did you get into Cornell? So let's start there. Can you help us understand your profile? Because I'm sure that all of us here would one day like to crack a school like Cornell. So what was your profile like? And was there anything different that you did?
Okay, so until my third year end, I was just focusing on my CGPA. According to me, it was like if you get a good grade or if you have a good CGPA, you can get into a good university. At the time, I didn't have much knowledge. By the end of third year, I came to know it's not only the CGPA. US universities look for a holistic approach for each and every profile. So you should be good enough in all the areas they look for and not just CGPA. So just a year back, I started working on research papers, community service, and then extracurriculars. So that is how I developed my profile. And for me, I think I started working in last month by the end of March. So I just had 8 months before my applications. So my best advice would be if you can start before 1 year, you'll have enough time to prepare for your English proficiency exams as well as your, the other things. So for me, what happened is in the past 8 months, I started publishing papers, then this community service, these exams. So it was really hectic for me. So if the ones who are trying for the fall intake, I hope they might have started already 24 intake. But yeah, so just whatever it is. But even if you have 6 months, if you work so hard and if you're very systematic, you can make it. And I published 2 research papers when I was applying for masters, 2 conference papers, and then 1 non-technical paper. That was my research side. And then English proficiency, I gave TOEFL. Then extracurricular like management, for managing some events and like that. And community service. I like social service. So I was kind of active in that also. That's it.
Okay, awesome. And I have to tell you guys that Sona here is from VIT, which I know a lot of our audience. Actually, let me tell you this very interesting fact for anybody who's here from VIT. We have the highest number of VIT students getting into great universities abroad. So VIT is definitely one of our top colleges for the number of students who get into awesome universities. So, and you have just graduated, right? You have just completed your exam. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, great. So let me just backtrack a little bit, okay? When did this thought of studying abroad first came to you? So what was that moment where you decided, because I know anybody who completes their engineering in India, one of the pathways for them is to complete, let's say, an MBA, right? So where did that shift come from? I know VIT must have influenced you a little bit, but what was that moment where you first decided, no, abroad education can also be a viable option for me?
Actually, for me, when I was very young itself, I had the deep wish to settle abroad. But I never thought I'll go and study abroad. I just thought I'll complete my studies in India and I'll go abroad and just try for a job there and settle there. But when I started my BTech, in the first year itself, I got the feeling that it is better to do masters abroad rather than doing MTech in India. So that is when I decided, okay, I should do masters. And at the time, I didn't decide the country. I had a huge confusion with which country I should go for. Actually, that is a huge thing which takes a lot of time for you to, if you have confusions. Certain people, they decide, okay, I'll go to US or I'll go to Australia and settle there. Like, if that is the case, it's well and good. But if you have a confusion, then it'll take a long time for you to debate within the pros and cons and then select a country. That happened for me, actually. For the first 3 years, I was thinking of going to Australia and then I switched to US. So it took me a lot of time, and even profile wise, we have to, like, when it comes to different countries, their requirements are different. So you have to plan accordingly.
Well said, well said. And that is something that I think I also struggled with a lot. Where, and as you mentioned, that different countries have different inclinations. So US, for example, all US universities are very research based and research oriented. So they like their students having research, as opposed to UK, who want actually great marks and very academically inclined. So what was the research process like for you? Because I'm sure once you've decided that you want to go abroad, you must have started researching. So what was that process like? And did that change? Did the pattern of research change anywhere for you in this entire journey?
You're talking about me researching about the universities and not about the conference papers, right?
Yeah. Researching about the universities for now.
So, yeah, as I've mentioned, first 3 years I was fully focusing on Australia. And then the last 1 year, I started searching about universities and the ranking. And I started searching for the courses and the course lists which are available in that particular university. So that is how I shortlisted the universities. And like, it is according to you. It's not like your friend is applying for these many universities, so you should also apply for the same. It is not like that. You should choose the universities as per your profile or your caliber, and which are universities. I mean, there are certain universities which are very ambitious for you, and you might think, okay, you won't get it, but you can take a chance. There is nothing wrong in applying for universities like that. I have applied for Stanford. I was definitely sure I'm not going to get an admit, I'll get a reject, but still I applied that. But even when I'm applying for all the universities, it's not like I'm going to get it. Like, there are certain things, certain universities, we take a chance. So, and everything is up to you. You have the full right to choose which university you have to apply to, but just evaluate yourself with respect to their requirements, as well as look into the courses which are offered by each and every university. Just look if it is the one which you're looking for. If that is the case, you can just choose that university. It's not just ranking alone which should lead you to choose that university. Your taste and your career path should be influenced by the courses which are offered from that university.
Right, because I know that a lot of students sometimes do that, I have a cousin or I have a friend studying in XYZ university and they got in with this profile. I'm going to get in with that profile, because even I used to feel that, it's going to be a simple process. How difficult can it be? So what is your take on stuff like this, where you see people and where you see, young students who are not sure about what to do and think that, okay, I have a cousin in US, I have a friend in US, they got into this university and I'm going to replicate their profile. So what is your thought on this?
That is like, replicating another person's profile is not that easy, because our profile is totally depending on our taste and our caliber, but that is not an easy task. If that person can do it, okay. Even then, it is not necessary that that person should get into the same university as that of a cousin, because university decisions are not just based on marks or some ranks. It is based, it's a holistic approach, right? So that one, it's like a person might be lagging on one other field and he might be like catching up on another one, so that he's like becoming a good competitive person for the other student, right? So yeah, so that is not a practical way to go with. You just have to go with your own pace and your own caliber. That's what I would suggest.
Well said. You were saying such nice, almost TED Talk like stuff. So I'm just going to, record this session to make sure that I'm rewatching it, and I'm also becoming more and more eloquent like you, because you're speaking in such a nice way that's very crisp and clear. So I'm thoroughly motivated and thoroughly inspired by you right now. Okay, I've gotten a question here by Arun, who says that how much score do we need for TOEFL? And number 2 is GRE still mandatory? So I remember we were talking about this right before the session started. So let's actually address this.
Yeah, I'll start with GRE. And for me, I was preparing for so long for GRE, and it was useless literally. For out of all the universities I've applied for, I guess I used my GRE score just for only one university. Rest of all the universities, it's just an optional thing. You just don't have to give GRE. That was for whole 23 intake. I'm not sure about whole 24. But GRE is not at all mandatory. Like for me, it was not. And if it is not mandatory, I would suggest you not to waste your time on GRE, studying GRE. Like for me, it was difficult. I mean, the verbal. It takes a lot of time for preparation. I mean, the practicing, the mugging up of the words. So if it is not necessary, I would suggest you not to go with that. And when it comes to TOEFL, definitely it depends on the university's requirements. It's not necessary that you should get 120 out of 120. It is not, TOEFL score is not just the deciding factor for your admit. It is just one factor which is just it is the factor with which the university is making sure that you are proficient enough, or you can understand the language which is being, the conversations of the professors or something like that, right? So even TOEFL score around 100, I had 101 only. And every section will have separate cutoffs. So it will depend on the university. Each university, it will be different. So it is not like you should score so much marks for TOEFL, then your profile is, your admit is guaranteed. It's not like that. You just have to have a decent score for this. That is enough.
Awesome. Yes. And guys, research the university. You heard it first from Sona here. Research the universities and research the entry requirements. So what was the application process like for you? I always like asking this question because everybody's application process is much different. And now I got to know a very interesting detail about you for GRE. So what was that application process like for you once you've decided US and you started researching universities from that day down to the day of getting your admit? So what did that process look like?
Yeah, so initially, as I've mentioned, I started working on research papers because for that it takes time. So initially I started with that. Then I started preparing for my TOEFL. Then once after that, actually deciding between IELTS and TOEFL, I've seen many of them having that doubt. Which one should I write? Which one is given more preference? As far as I've observed, it doesn't make any difference. Like if you give TOEFL or IELTS, it is fine. But out of all the universities which I have applied for, one university didn't accept IELTS scores. They were accepting only TOEFL. So if you're going for US, I would suggest you to choose TOEFL over IELTS. Again, it is your choice, but yeah. So that is about English proficiency. Then this extracurriculars also you should like, it's not like you should avoid your academics and fully concentrate on other extracurricular works, but I don't have so much of these extracurricular activities in my hand, but the ones which I have, I just actively be part of it. And I'm managing some events or taking part in some events and organizing, all those will be adding up to your profile. Then I was doing those things. And along with that, I started preparing my SOP and LORs around July and August, September, that time I started. And it took me a long time to draft and like the thing is like, you should not start it just 1 or 2 months before your application. You should start it prior to that so that you can read it and proofread, edit, and in such a way that by the end of the application time, the SOP is so crisp that we can modify it in whichever way the university is asking for. Certain universities will have word limits, certain universities will have page limits. So we should prepare a SOP in such a way that we can cut off certain portions, or we can add certain portions as per the requirement of all the universities, because we'll be applying for multiple universities and we don't have much time to sit and write each and every single SOP. So editing should be done in some small time. So we should be sure which para, okay, this it's okay if it is not there, or okay, I can add some more points for this university. So that and all, you have to look into it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like all these papers and English proficiency, then our documents.
Right. When you said August, I thought that you started August. Like I was like, okay, so she started a year back. So that is when you started. I mean, I can actually feel your dedication. So what is the importance of actually starting early? Because I know that a lot of students think that, we're just saying it just for the sake of it. That you will always hear me saying that, I made a mistake of actually starting slightly late in my, not slightly, a lot late in my journey. But what is the importance of starting as early as you can?
For me, I got almost 7 to 8 months in my hand. Even then, I felt like it was so hectic for me. So if you have time, you can do it in a relaxed way. And if you don't have time, there's nothing to worry, but you just have to do things so in like a fast pace so that you don't have much rest. You have to work throughout until the application process is done. And then you have to have so much patience waiting for these admits and rejects as well. Then you have another process like where you have to decide which one to choose. That is also a task. So you should be like, I would suggest during the time when you have between the application process and the admit, you will have almost 3 months, minimum of 3 months. At the time, you can decide which university you will go for. Just consider that you got admit from all the universities, and if you can make a priority list of the universities with which, in which you can go, that will be a great thing. Because once after I got the admits only, I started thinking about which university I should go for. So it was a really difficult time for me, and I just had very little time to choose my university. It was just 2 weeks. So it became very hectic. So if in the 3 months, if you can decide some university out of which you have applied for, that would be great. That is one thing which I felt from my experience.
Definitely. I mean, that is another thing that I always said this, that I personally felt that SOP and LOR was the worst part of my application process, but I think worst was just waiting for an admit and, just thinking it's going to come and it's not coming up. So yeah, definitely very, very excruciating. So at what point did you find YOCKET? Because I know you're a YOCKET Premium member and you're a proud one. I see your name in the, okay, so by the way, we have this Hall of Fame of admits here at YOCKET. So I see your name obviously at Cornell. So what point did you find YOCKET? Because most of the time we're researching for something or we're finding an answer when we're doing our research on our own, and you ended up finding an answer. So what was that answer and how did you stick to YOCKET?
I wanted to consult an agency, definitely, because I wanted to I wanted someone to guide me. I wanted someone to clear my doubts. And like, obviously, we can't rely on seniors, so maybe they might not respond. So and we need professional to help us so that our doubts are clarified in a perfect way. So I was searching for several consultancies, and finally, when I heard about YOCKET, I was so satisfied with that. So that is how I joined. And once after joining, I had a very great experience. Whatever doubt I asked my counselor, they're ready to answer it, and they clarify it then and there. And about my documents, it's like perfect. My SOP, editing my SOP and LOS, I was very happy with those even. So that's what, like, my experience with YOCKET is amazing.
That makes me so happy and that warms my heart, because I'm seeing students, you are putting in your trust in a bunch of people who might be strangers to you, but you're putting in your trust into people who will be helping you. We don't say that we are going to change your life. No, we're just going to help you, right? We're going to just show you a little direction and help you. And what was the best feature about YOCKET that you really liked? You thought that, okay, this is award winning. This is something that I really like.
First, editing my documents, I'm very satisfied with that. And the second thing is, during the shortlisting, which was done by the counselors, I didn't actually go with that list. I fully changed the 12 universities according to my list. And so at that time, I thought, okay, my counselors are not going to agree with that. They will say no. But they didn't actually, my counselor didn't say anything. She was ready to change the whole list according to my wish. So I felt really happy with that. And that is what, like, they're very flexible and they're ready to help us.
And I get this question so many times that, oh, will YOCKET only push us for partner universities? And can I choose my own list? we have students who have changed. Even I completely changed my list. I was like, you know what? Not this one. I'm just going to choose. And my counselor helped me choose new universities because I thought that maybe not this one. So definitely. Okay. I've gotten this really interesting question here by Arun, and I'm going to add another question. So Arun asked that what should we write in our SOPs and what should we write in our LOR? My follow-up question is what we shouldn't write in our SOP and LOR.
Okay. First, I'll answer what you shouldn't write. What all you have in your resume, you don't have to explain it again and again in your SOP. It is already there in your resume. The evaluators will be looking into your LORs, resume, as well as SOP. So if you have something, for example, you have mentioned your achievement of yours in your resume, you don't have to elaborate about the same in your SOP because it's already been seen by the evaluator. That is my one point which I follow. Like you can mention one or two, the big, like the best achievement of yours, you can definitely add in your SOP. That is like, you should add that. But I've seen certain people adding A to Z from their resume in their SOP. That is not at all required. So just your best achievements alone, you can mention in your SOP. That is like the no-nos in your SOP. And when it comes to what you should add, it is actually, you should consider it as an essay where you're pitching the university, you're telling a university why you should take us. So it's not just your academic background alone, why you are passionate about the subject, or why you want to study in this field, or why you want to work in this university, or why do you want to work in the specific field. Like that you should tell. Okay, you should, for me and all, I explained in the first para, I just gave why I liked this engineering field itself. So you can start in your SOP is completely up to you, but just make sure that you don't push in so much of your achievements which is already mentioned in your resume. And obviously the last para, once if you look into the structure of SOP for US, you'll see that the last one will be university specific para, where you have to mention about one or two professors in that university and just tell them you would like to work under them and that their so-and-so research work impressed me a lot. That can be generic for all the universities. You can just take two professors and just few of their research work and just add up and use it as your university specific para. And one paragraph you can mention your project works. That is also fine. You can mention about your project work or how you did it or what inspired you to do it. That also you can add. And obviously the first para, you can give it as an introduction. You can write, what I followed is I wrote about how I felt in love with engineering, like that. That is, it's the SOP is not just your academic part alone. You can include what all you are as a person. So that is what I did.
Definitely. I think this also puts such a beautiful perspective to the question, because a lot of people think that SOP is just about me and, my academic and I did this achievement, but very beautiful thought that, it's very personal and it's very unique. And I think it gives the admission committee a chance to know you personally, because I know for tech, you do not get a lot of interviews, which is different from business schools. For business schools, you'll always get an interview after you completed round one. But for tech universities, I know you never get an interview. So you personally do not have a chance to interact. So did you have an interview for any of the universities?
Actually, for Columbia University, I had an interview. And that was just, I guess it's like a TOEFL speaking. Just 3 questions will be displayed on the screen and we just talk. That's it. Nothing.
Yeah, Akira interview. Those are
our English proficiency exam only. Nothing technical. Just what your personality kind of questions, I guess. Nothing.
Oh, how lucky. How lucky. Kira for us, for business schools was the worst. Kira, you have 10 seconds and then 30 seconds to respond. It's all technical.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have an interesting follow-up question here by Roman, who says that, do we have to make 3 different LORs and SOP for different universities if they're applying for 3 universities? Let's say they're applying for 8 universities. So is it 8 LORs and 8 SOPs?
Look, LORs can be you'll be getting LORs from 3 different faculties. So you can use, those 3 drafts can be kept the same for all the universities you're applying to. You just have to give that one draft for each professor. And that's it. That's done. He'll upload for all the universities for which you're applying. You don't have to worry about LORs after that. SOP, as I've mentioned, you'll have a university specific para, which is the last para of our SOP. that alone you will have to edit for all the universities, since the professors will be obviously different for all the universities. And certain universities will have a word limit or page limit. So you have to just edit or expand your SOPs as per the requirement. That's it. Like, you don't have to prepare 8 different SOPs for 8 universities. One SOP is enough. You just have to make the changes which are required and as per the universities, requirements.
Awesome. Great. So I've gotten a question here by Bhupender, who joined in slightly late. And so Bhupender, let me actually answer your question. So we have here Sona with us, and she's a star fall 2023 admit, one of her top admits, and the one that she has finalized is Cornell University, Ivy League, obviously. And we are in conversations with her to understand what was her journey like and what was her application process. So if you have any questions, feel free. For all the people who are here, I am taking questions, obviously. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. Try not to use the chat box because it, follows out and it's difficult to follow. So please use the Q&A for that. Awesome. So let me ask you one very personal question for that sake. So once you started getting your admits, right, you must be seeing emails everywhere. So what was that feeling like? I'm sure it must be very unique. And once you finally got admit, because I know that Cornell is very special. So once you got that admit from Cornell, what was that feeling like?
I was really happy. And at the time, actually, I applied for 14 universities. I was waiting, for me, the waiting gap was a huge, period. Because getting the admits from all the 14 universities took me, I guess, 4 to 4.5 months. So every 2 weeks I'll get one admit, or 1 week I'll get 2-3 admits together. So at the time, I never thought I'll be finalizing Cornell. I thought, okay, once let everything come, then I'll decide. So I just felt happy for getting into Cornell, but then nothing much after that, because I was tense about the other universities as well. So
the high must have come there for Cornell. I'm sure that you must have been incredibly happy. I can just only imagine how elated you must be once you got the Cornell admit.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
All the admits which I got.
I'm sure, definitely. Even, when I came in, I thought that just getting one admit would be enough for me. But I can totally get it, the feeling of receiving multiple admits and, you have to choose from them. I'm so happy for you right now. Great. So we have this question from, just give me 1 second. Okay. We have a question from Tarun. We have touched on it a little bit, but Tarun asked that what is the bare minimum that you need to have to get a good chance at scholarships also? Like, what is something that you need to have in your profile? Is it projects? Is it work experience? Is it NGO work, or is it something else?
I'm not so sure about the scholarship thing, because some universities, when you're applying for the university itself, they'll automatically consider you for the scholarship. But when it comes to some other universities, you'll have to give some other application, which is after our university application, and you'll have sometimes a span of 1 month or something, and you have to apply separately for the scholarship. So for me, I don't think I have applied for universities where we have to apply separately for the scholarship. So I'm not sure about the scholarship procedure.
So according to you, what would be the best, like if you were an admission committee member, or if you were, let's say you had to write a book, not even a book, if you just had a paper, and what makes a university choose a candidate? If you had to pick 3 things, what would those 3 major things be?
Definitely one would be CGPA. And then maybe research works. And then extracurriculars as a whole, not just social service. So it depends. It's not necessary that all of them are interested in the social service. At the same time, they might have some other interests. So their personal interest will be another factor which will help us decide if that candidate is best for the university or not.
100%. So I've gotten a question here by Dhanush, who says that, will the university reputation of your bachelor's matter for your admit? So let's say you're from VIT. So does that play a part in getting a great university in the US?
I'm not sure about that, because in engineering, I guess the syllabus is same all over India. And I guess the CGPA is what it matters, and the profile as a whole. For example, the universities which are ranked higher than VIT and lower than VIT, and it doesn't matter, because it's not just a CGPA, it's a profile as a whole. And when it comes to everything else other than CGPA, it is not just dependent on the university alone. Our research work, so our extracurriculars, everything is like depending on us and not the university, right? So I don't think university ranking would be a like deciding factor, but CGPA will be a factor, I guess.
Yeah, CGPA would definitely be a factor. I mean, you want to show that you're a good candidate, you can go ahead and study at that university and, not face any academic trouble. So for people asking for scholarship, that is also something that happens. Try to make sure that your GPA is as high as you can possibly. Okay. Because GPA guarantees, not guarantees, but GPA actually plays a huge role in, conveying that you not only are an academically bright student, but you also have the capability to study more. So go ahead and do that. I've gotten a question here. Again, we are back to GRE by Sunil, who says that from IELTS score, can we get scholarship or we must write GRE as well? I'm not sure of scholarship. You can get an application fee waiver though. But maybe Sona from
Not
your...
scholarship. I don't think you'll get a scholarship depending on English proficiency exams. But if it is a college which is offering the teaching assisted, then you can get teaching TA or RA depending on your TOEFL or IELTS scores. Especially depends on your speaking score. You'll have a separate cutoff for each section, and I guess for speaking, you have to cross the cutoff, then only you'll be eligible for this TA or RA. If you're not eligible, you don't have to worry about it. Once after going to the university, in the first time, you'll have some exam, which you an English proficiency exam, which you'll have to clear, and then you can apply for TA or RA. This is that's it. Other than that, I don't think it is that it'll make you eligible for a scholarship or something.
It will only make you, I got an application fee waiver based on my IELTS score. So that is possible. And that also happens like once in a million. So if you're looking for application fee waiver, go write your GRE, go write your IELTS. I know universities also hand out application fee waiver based on GRE. So Sunil, if you're interested, go ahead and do that. Okay, awesome. So if I know this is a very weird question, but I'm going to ask you this anyway. Okay, you've gotten into such amazing universities and you have gotten into the best university, which is a dream for many people. But if you had a chance, let's say instead of the 7 to 8 months, if you had, let's say 12 months and you could go back and maybe change or modify just one small thing about your application. Number one, would you change anything? And if yes, what would you change?
I definitely won't remove anything from my profile, but I'll try to add some things, because for me, the second year and third year went online because of COVID. So that time I couldn't do anything other than studies. I was just studying and concentrating on my CGPA alone. So even now I regret for that, because those 2 years, if we were in campus, we could have developed ourselves in many other ways also. So if I had time and if I was in campus, I would have done something, in the extra field. That's all. I won't remove anything.
Yeah, not remove. I mean, you don't have to remove. Your profile is amazing. That's why I just said that if you had to maybe modify something, but that's a great answer. I mean, to this day, you're just thinking about, how you can better yourself. So you're going to Cornell. I'm sure that all of your process must be done. You must be going out for your visa process now. So, yep. All the very best for that. I'm sure that you'll need all the luck, but you're going to crack it. Don't worry about it. So what is life looking like for you in the next few months? You'll be in Cornell by September, in the next 3 months. So what is one thing that you're exceptionally excited about, that, this is something that I want to do? For some people, it's the infrastructure. For some people, it's meeting this one certain professor. So what is it for you that's making you very excited?
See, for me, studying in a university which has a reputation like this is a great opportunity for me. I don't know, that is what which attracts me as of now. And I'm tensed about all these processes going on. So I don't have anything else to say.
I can totally understand. I mean, till the time that you get your visa in hand, the stress is not going to go away. It's not going to go away anytime soon. But don't worry, you have a bright path ahead of you. So to make this session all the more special, to make sure that, all the people who are here are not only because they're getting inspired by your story, but I want to make sure that this session is extra special just because you are here. So I'm sure that your journey actually started with maybe a phone call with one of our YOCKET advisors, right? Yeah. So, and I always say this, which is so ironic, which is so coincidental, that one of the lines that I always say is anybody who gets into Cornell or Carnegie, the journey starts with a phone call. And you have gotten both. So, I manifested your profile. So in order to do that, I have a special link for everybody here. Now, this link is a direct link for you guys to talk to a counselor. It's going to ask you a few questions about your profile, which includes your intake, course, country, as well as a preferred time that you want to talk to a counselor during the time. We're going to book a video call. It's going to be one-on-one, nobody else. And in that video call, you don't have to turn on your video if you're not comfortable, but our counselors like to bond with you and show you some resources. And during this video call, you'll be able to completely understand your profile, university shortlisting options, as well as scholarship. I know that a lot of students here are very interested in scholarship, and I'm getting a lot of questions which are very specific to profile. Let's say I've gotten questions from Devashish and Jay and Hiren. So all of these people who have very specific profile related questions, go ask that to a counselor, because obviously we're sitting here talking to Sona and getting inspired by her journey, but we'll only be able to tell you some things about your profile. So if you want a full view of what your profile looks like and what are some things that you need to do, make sure to talk to a counselor. It just takes 2 minutes to fill in the form, and our team will set up everything for you. So go ahead and do that. So Sona, we're just going to continue taking some more questions, okay? Yeah, I've gotten a question here by Jay, who says that I've not started preparing for GRE or IELTS till now and opting for fall 2024 admissions. How late am I?
Again, if the universities, if you're looking for requires GRE, then only you prepare for that, or else it's a waste. Like, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money. Like, you can give the full efforts for your IELTS preparation, and then you can crack a good score out of it. That is what I would suggest. And if the universities you're looking for is asking for a GRE score, then you can start preparing now. I have seen people who crack GRE in just few months. So you're not at all late. You have enough and more time. And I'm happy that you started thinking about your admissions for the next year right now itself.
Yeah, that is a great sign. And again, as you said, that if you do not have to give GRE, don't waste your time, invest that time. You can actually do a project in the meanwhile that you do not have to give GRE, because if you're giving GRE, 3 months for you are not going anywhere. You have to sit and concentrate.
You have to identify what you have to do and what you don't have to do. Then only you can save time. Because wasting time on the things which you don't have to do is, like, at this time, it is a huge loss for you.
Yeah, and you, Sona, you started preparing for GRE. How tough was that preparation? I did not give GRE, thankfully. I was very mindful in the beginning. If I'm giving GRE, I'm not going anywhere. So what was that preparation like for you?
For me, during the time I started preparing for GRE, I was in a mindset that I'm going to Australia, and they don't ask for GRE actually. It's just an optional thing. So I was like, okay, I'll just give it for the name's sake. So my preparation also was going on like that. I took 1 year. Like, I thought, okay, I'll just prepare it for nicely and I'll give it. But then after 1 year, what happened is in between my SEM exam came. So I lost touch again, like few exams came. So the thing is, during those exams, I had to take a break. Then I forgot everything. So my exams didn't end up well. And I didn't have to use GRE also. So it was so messed up. So I would suggest only the required candidates to write GRE, or else don't go for it.
Okay, yeah, please guys, make sure. So Sona has actually mentioned that quite sometimes. So make sure you're required to give a GRE. Many universities like Cornell and Duke, and I think Columbia, if I'm not mistaken, actually do not require a GRE. So
the universities I've applied for, only Illinois as well as Texas A&M required GRE. All the rest of 12 universities didn't require GRE. It was just optional. If you have a good score, you can give, or else it's better not to give. I mean, I didn't.
Oh, all the universities had optional. I know Cornell does not require a GRE. So you had some university that completely waived it off, and some universities that were like, yeah. And with the new exam pattern, guys, be mindful. Okay, I've gotten a question here by Tarun, who says that what is a good GPA? This is very interesting because I've never gotten this question, that what is a good GPA?
I'm not sure about it, because it's not just your GPA. Like, they take a holistic approach, right? So if you are feeling low, that your GPA is kind of less, and I mean, it's not as per you have expected it to be, and you just don't have time to make it up before your applications, then just start focusing on other things so that you can develop your profile and make it as good as the other applicants which are with you in the next intake.
Awesome. So I'm just going to take this one question. Okay. And Shiva asked this question, who says, can you elaborate about your research papers? So can you please just very quickly, help us understand your research papers? How much time did it take you to, manage all of your research papers? And how much benefit did you get from those in terms of your application and admissions?
Okay. So specifically, as you have mentioned, the US universities require the research thing in your profile. So for me, in my college, every SEM we'll have a couple of subjects with our J components. Like we have to do projects for this subjects. So by the end of 3 years, we'll have so many projects in our hand. So like at the time when I thought I should publish some papers, me along with some of my friends, we started working on one of our project and just developed into a paper, and then just carry on with, just approach a professor in your university, they'll guide you. Like once if you have a novel work with you.
Awesome. Great. So, guys, that would be all the questions. You can still send them in. So I'm going to make sure that, 1 or 2 more questions I'm taking. But actually, we've taken a lot of questions. So I'm not going to end the session like this. But if I had to ask you that for people who are going for fall 24, majority of the people here are going for fall 24, some for spring 24 as well. Some of them are actually from VIT. So if you had to give them sort of a tip, right? If you had to give them an advice for the application process, and if you being essentially a senior for them in at least the terms of the process, so what would your advice be to everyone who's applying to universities abroad?
First thing is manage your time. Just don't waste your time on just one single thing. Instead, you just manage everything together. And if you don't have this research paper, like for me, just 8 months, last April only I started working on this. By the time couple of my friends had papers already. So I kind of get freaked out. There's no, you don't have to get freaked out. You just have to need good guidance. And if the ones who have, just contact the ones who have already published the paper, just take your work to them. They can actually help you, combine your works together or just start working together. That will be a huge help for you. Then preparing for these exams, just don't waste so much time on these English proficiency exams. Just don't do that along with your preparing. Along with that, you should manage all the other things. That is what I would say, because just focusing on one thing alone won't help much, because you still have to do other things.
Yeah, and as you mentioned in the beginning was something that I actually picked up on, and you said that you realized very quickly that, GPA is not going to cut it for you, at least for US universities, and they have a holistic approach. So that I'm so happy and I'm so grateful that you brought this up for a lot of students, because at least in India, we are so GPA and CGPA oriented.
Exactly.
Marks, and marks is going to get you into IIT, and marks are going to get you into best universities. But for US, try changing approach a little bit. So thank you so much, Sona, for coming down and talking to us. And I hope that you had a great time. At least I did, and you can see how excited I am. So I hope that this session was as special for you and as exciting for you as it was for us.
Yes, of course it was.
Okay, awesome. So we have Jay here, who's from VIT. So one last question, actually, I'm going to take this because it's VIT specific. So they're from VIT. How hard is it to get the LOR from faculty? Because I'm only able to get 1 out of 3. So how difficult it is for VIT students?
You should have a good, healthy relationship with the faculties. You should be attentive in class, or either you should be attentive in class, or you should have a good project work with the faculty. Just maintain the relationship. In such a way that the faculty should feel like you are a good candidate, or you are it's worth of giving an LOR to the person. That's it. They're not so much strict, or they're not like, okay, I'm not going to give you any LORs if you approach me. It's not like that. Once if they feel like you're genuine, they'll definitely help you. And all the faculties are very friendly there. You just have to show that you are genuine enough. That's it.
Okay, awesome. So guys, you heard it here. And for all the people who constantly ask me, when do we have to start the application process? Guys, start as soon as possible. Literally start today, right? It's going to take you a lot of time. People think that SOP is just going to take you 2 weeks. No, it's going to take you months. If you want to get into the best university, I think Sona here can agree.
Definitely, you should not keep your SOP and LOS to it. LOS, actually, you can draft it in quickly in the sense in 1 or 2 weeks, you can make the basic draft, because it is just like the student is like that, it's like this. So it won't take much time. And they're not going to check so much about the language or anything else, because it is given as per the university, it's being given by a professor, which itself makes it valuable. So just concentrate on your SOP. That is very much important, and don't just leave it to the end. Give at least 2 to 3 months for your SOP, so that by the end you have a draft which you feel like it's perfect for you, and you should be able to edit it as per the university's requirements.
Awesome. Well said. Well said. So thank you so much, Sona. And for people, guys, start the process right now. If you're giving your GRE, if you're giving your IELTS, if you're writing your SOP, start right now. For spring, the deadlines are literally going to close in July. So we have 1 more month. For fall, the deadlines are going to open by December. So if you're looking for scholarships, if you're looking to land best universities, you have to apply earlier. And this is, if you start right now, you're going to actually have that much amount of time to make sure that your profile is perfect. And your chances. Yeah.
One thing to say, this is a very important thing which you must follow. Every university will have this early deadline as well as late deadline. You should, if you wish to get into a good university, you should definitely keep to this priority deadline and don't go beyond that. That is something which I followed, all of my friends followed. You should never let your application to be submitted by the end of the normal deadline. Just give for a priority deadline, so that you get, your chances of admit is very much higher when it's compared to the normal deadline. So just don't think your universities might have the priority deadline in December and the normal deadline might be in Jan or Feb. Don't ever think that, okay, I have time, I can do it by the end of Jan or Feb. No, you should submit your application by December itself.
Exactly. Actually, thank you for bringing that up, because priority deadline, that's why we emphasize that, apply early, because I'll tell you something. So if they have 100 seats and if they fill out by January, you do not stand a chance of getting it. So just make sure. Even this stands true for scholarship. I had a friend of mine who got scholarship, and she reverted back saying that, I feel that my profile is slightly better. And the university reverted back with just saying that you applied very late. Your profile is amazing. We could have given you double the amount of scholarship, but we cannot give it to you because fund allocation is already done. So you have applied in the last leg of admission. So guys, for scholarship enthusiasts, don't do it. Okay, so thank you so much. And that brings me to the last 10 seconds for anybody who wants to talk to a counselor. This is your chance, because we have discussed so much today, right? So now it's your chance to take all the information from today's session and apply it with a counselor. Okay, go ahead, apply it with a counselor. Talk to a counselor. I've pasted the link in the chat box for everyone here. It's going to take you 10 seconds to fill in the form. And thank you so much, Sona, for coming down and talking to us. I had such a lovely, lovely session today. I got to learn so much from you, and I'm so incredibly motivated right now to, push through and make sure that all of my process is complete. And I'm sure everybody here enjoyed the session as much as I do. I can see the number of questions that are actually still piling up. So guys, for all the questions, I think we got over 70 questions today just from your session. So you can just imagine how motivated everybody is here. So thank you so much for coming down and talking to us. And I hope you had a great time.
Of course, I had a really great time. Thank you so much.
Awesome, awesome. And congratulations on your amazing admits. I've said it in the earlier session, but I'm going to say it right now. Thank you so much. And congratulations on your awesome, awesome admits. For people who still have questions that we might not have addressed, guys, you can send it to us at hello@yocket.in. So I'm just going to make sure that some of the questions I'm still sending to Sona, so that, we can get a response back. So anybody who has a question, go ahead and write to us at hello@yocket.in. Just mention that you attended this session, and I will personally make sure that, most of your questions are answered. So thank you so much, Sona. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming down. I know it's a Friday. I know it's a weekend, so everybody must be getting in the weekend vibe. So Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. And I hope all of you are having a great weekend, especially you, Sona. I hope you have a great weekend. Wish you all the very best for your visa, though. I know that will take up a lot of your mental headspace now, but all the best for your visa and all the very best to everyone for the application process. I hope to see you guys again for another session.
Very best for your applications and your future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sona. Thank you so much, everyone. And I hope you had a great time. I hope to see you guys soon sometime. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye and have a great evening.
Okay, then bye.
Bye.